Iron Stories, Episode 26, Kaivan. Welcome back to another episode of Iron Stories. Last time our intrepid trio ventured into the Holdfast Barrow, where they suspected, or where they think or hope that Kaivan still lies. And they ventured even deeper than before. They ventured from where we seen Kaivan last when he was alive, beyond this not portal, doorway or gate that was erected to keep San and his minions inside and from the outside world. Maybe prison door, maybe something like that. I think it's more of a gate, I guess. So they ventured forth, and interestingly enough, they were able to make reasonable headway. So they were able to move quite far or quite well into this Holdfast Barrow. But what also happened was that they found, or Jebran found a heap or a room full of heaps and heaps of gold and spoils and gems and whatever, which actually is basically something that tries to counteract their quest here maybe a bit. So Jebran immediately lunged himself to this gold and thought, okay, this is a way better payment than that she could give us, so let's take a bit of them to ourselves. And Jebran and Nisana began to argue, Nisana being more cautious about this gold, that she thought, maybe this gold is tainted. It's not, it's here for a reason, so it should stay here. And it's that greed that it was maybe a part of the downfall before, so they shouldn't be tempted by the same temptations, so to speak. So so they argued back and forth, and what they didn't recognize, what they didn't see, was that behind them a bone walker emerged from the heaps of gold and broken off sword. It's just basically a hilt and just a stub of a sword in one hand, and the remaining remains of a shield in the other hand, and lunged towards both of them, arguing just from the heaps of the gold. It just emerged from below it and displaced the rest of the gold as it erected it itself, and gold coins plunging through its skeletal body, so to speak, through it. So there's the bone walker here, I guess, and I think the only one that was able to see that or is aware currently is Catania herself. But she is a bit back. She's maybe a bit occupied, maybe herself. She isn't the greatest of fighter, I guess. I guess maybe the Bone Walker is also not really aware of her, so she would be maybe able to help, which basically is, well, she can use that to her advantage to maybe well, at one point, at first, of course, to by distracting the enemy from away from the others, and as well, maybe as well, use this confusion a bit to like stop the Bone Walker in its track, to startle it for a moment as a distraction, so it has to decide, okay, what I'm going to attack now, what I'm going to do now, because she assumes that this thing isn't the brightest at all, so she is maybe more able to just like direct where it goes. So I would say, okay, so she's trying to secure an advantage for the others, just like trying to make the others aware of its presence itself, and maybe draw away itself so that the others have time then to react as well. So the Bone Walker, because even though it's like a skeletal body, and you would assume like more of like this zombie-like movement, or slowly moving towards them, it's quite fast. It lunges and has like this unprecedented speed itself. So stopping it in its track will probably help the others more than just attacking it and maybe missing. So she's trying to do that. So the question is, she's probably doing it with, well, it's not really stealth or trickery. Well, could be trickery maybe. So it could either be shadow or wits here at this position. So is she more trying to maybe like throw a stone at it to like stop it in its track, or maybe like I think it's more with deception, I guess. It's more deceptive, trickerish way, I guess, that does it. She's not really great at shadow, but could be. So it's a miss, but it could burn momentum to do a weak hit. Yeah, I guess so. She has a bit of a... I would guess it would make sense here, because she has a bit the advantage of or the moment of surprise on her side a bit, because the Bone Walker is not really aware of her. She's just aware. I would even say that the Bone Walker is more incentivized to attack Jebran. It's not that the Bone Walker is just attacking whoever would stand there, that it doesn't just attack because they made such a loud noise, etc. It's more that Jebran took gold from the pile, and it is the Bone Walker, I would say, well, the body that, well, the person that it previously was in his life is still driven by the greed, a similar greed as Jebran was or is experiencing here, or is driven by it here. And I think the Bone Walker is just like attacking Jebran because he took a bit of the money, a bit of the gold for himself. So it's basically protecting or trying to grab back the thing. So the Bone Walker has more or less like a tunnel vision to Jebran. So which of course Nasana is in his way. So that's a given, or that's a problem for the thing itself. So it's more concentrated on Jebran, and Asana is just there in as a collateral, so to speak. And Catania, as she was the last to enter the room, is back and is maybe a bit off this tunnel vision of the Bone Walker. So she has the moment of surprise. So she is able to use this momentum she has as to a bit to aid in her advances, or in her attempt to maybe lure away the Bone Walker, to shift the attention of the Bone Walker maybe to her just for a second, for a split second, so that the others, as I said, would then be aware of its presence and hopefully take protective manners or protective stances as well. Even though it's a short hit, so she basically, as she sees the Bone Walker step out of the mound of the pile of gold and lunge towards it, she has like this immediate reaction, this reflex to call it out from the shadows, and maybe, as I said, maybe throw a pebble of or stone that she quickly finds on the ground, throws it to the Bone Walker, or in the direction of the Bone Walker, and shouts out, "Hey!" In a matter of, hey, get away, away from them, or hey, there is something to the others. This is a bit of a mixed hey that she shouts out, and throws the stone towards it. I would say it's missing its target, I would say. So just because the thing is like just bones, a skeleton, there isn't much of surface area that she could hit effectively, just with a small stone or pebble. It has a lot of cracks and openings that it could just fly through. But it flies through the skeleton itself and ends up behind into the pile, and there's like this sound where it lands, and some of the gold that is lying on there, it just displaces a small like golden avalanche, comes down, and for a split second, for a moment there, because there is this noise within the gold that is piled here, emerges the Bone Walker is just shifting its gaze away from Jebran and Asana, just for a split second, to see what was that, what is disturbing my gold, it's mine, and sees, okay, there is nothing. It doesn't even look back to where the stone come. I think it wasn't really aware of the stone flying towards it. It just sees, or it just hears the rustling disturbance in its gold. It's his gold. And it quickly gazes back at Jebran, and lunges and still moves forward. But I would say the second was enough for Jebran and Asana to stop their arguing, And Nisana, I would say, is the first to see the thing darting towards her, or darting towards them with this speed, and she just in a quick manner is drawing one of her silver swords, her silver sword, the one that she still has left out of the two that she has, and it's just like darting, or the others don't really see how it is. It's just like, it's more like a blur. She shifts out of their vision itself. It's not that it's not, well, I would say there's a dim light here. It's not highly lit, of course, but I think I would say that just the torches that they have, or at least Catania also at least had the light that it sheds is like reflected by all these small by all the coins, and is more able to distribute the light that it gives off into this cavern, or this room that they're in. There is still the outside darkness that tries to counteract everything here, and the darkness and coldness of the corruption that is encroaching here. But I mean, the goal itself is just still reflecting that it sheds more of the dim light. But even with this dim light, Nisana seems to be shifting and turning, like wherever they look, wherever they think the light is shining, she's able to just like somehow like move past or beyond or behind the shining light, just averting their gaze, just like trying to get out of it, just shifting and turning. It's like more of a blur. It's not quick in a sense, but it's just they can't really grasp where she's going. So she's using her innate ability to be more in the shadows, to strike from the shadows, which is her advantage to do that, and tries to strike the Bone Walker. I would say the Bone Walker isn't really necessarily that isn't that of a dangerous foe to them. Well, it is dangerous, marked as dangerous. But it's something that within these three, it's just a minor inconvenience, I would say, or just they're probably able to defeat it. It's just a question of how fast and what maybe are the consequences out of it. So I don't think I should do a whole battle here. It's just a 3 against 1, which is basically a overwhelming power, or the shift in power is just overwhelming. That I just do a quick battle here, so it's more a blur here, and just Nisana is the first to react, the first to get here. She's the first to fight and the first to hopefully finish this. So she is like shifting and turning, and she's again she's using her abilities here. So she does a battle, which is just a quick way to do fight scenes or to do battles, specifically against, well, not the dangerous foes, or in situations where there is a overwhelming advantage for one side, I would say. And she's using her shadow, as I said. So she's using that just shifting away from view as well. So she's also tapping into her mask as well. Yeah, that's just no-brainer here. So she's way now that she's aware of it, they can see Jebran and Catania for first time see what she's capable of. They saw some part of it maybe already when they walked through the forest to this place here, that she was already able to make her presence less known to anything else. She was blending way better into her environment as well. So she's more in tune maybe with the shadows in itself, which is very intriguing for them. And they also saw it when she was guiding them through this place here as well, that she was able to meld with the shadows in itself, with somehow maybe even with the darkness that this place exudes. And now she's doing that the same again. She's like the thing that they just can see as, or they can just see, is as Catania is crying or yelling out to them to watch out, and throwing the thing. Nasana is just as quickly as she can is reacting. She's using the brief moment of distraction of the Bone Walker to draw her sword and just shift out of the shadows, and then just seemed to appear behind the Bone Walker, and just slashes across the Bone Walker, and they can see her sword, her silver sword, one of one of the two that she has, or that she wants to see. They can more see it in action, and they can see that it strikes, and it's something that Jebran even is. He's more fond of axes, of maybe blunt things here, and the sword is more of a cutting, slashing weapon in his sense. So he isn't really able to, or he's not really sure. He thinks, well, against something that's as hard as bones, it shouldn't work, or just it's more of a problem for the sword itself. You need blunt damage, like the back of an axe, just to hit it with blunt force, or a hammer or a cudgel or whatever. But the sword itself seems to like cut through the thing, or this bone walker, the skeleton, without ease. And it even seems that just not only cutting it, but somehow draining it from the dark energy that is, or this spell or whatever, is the magic, some sort of this has kept it alive, is like cut through. It's not really that she cut through the bones itself, she cut through the magic that kept it alive, with the silver that is more pure, purifying in a sense, is cutting through the magic, like cutting the wire that is keeping the skeleton aloft, the skeleton alive, so to speak, or the undeadness. The spell cuts that and just falls into its individual pieces of bone, and just clambers onto the floor, and spreads onto the floor. And Jebran is just standing there. He wasn't really. He sees that, oh, well, there was something, like still was one of the satchels in hand, and Catania as well can see just that this thing, or how Nasana reacted, how she moves through basically like the shadows that the light is reflecting here as in her advantage. And Asana, I think, is the first again to speak and says as well, you see what greed brings you. Put it away. Put it down. This is definitely cursed, and it wouldn't. The greed is even. Greed can only bring you pain and misery. And in the end, it will consume you, and it will consume you way beyond your life. Even in death, it will not stop. And the result you can see here, you can see in this thing that it's still the greed goes beyond the grave, goes beyond your life, and you still try to so put it down. No good can come from this. So I would say she is trying to convince, maybe. She's not really good at convincing people, I would say. But I would say she because she makes a good argument here, and for the moment I would say that Jebran is complying. So he looks like in his the satchel that he has grabbed from the pile. Still in his hand, clutches it, and looks at the thing that lies beyond the feet of Nisana, and then looks over to Catania that visibly seems to be still in shock on what just happened. And he just throws the satchel to the same, basically to the feet of Nisana, where the pieces of the skeleton still lie, and the few of the gold pieces like scatter out of it and scatter on the floor itself. And then just grumbles a bit into his grumbles a bit and says, well, it better has to be worth it, and just turns around, maybe a bit begrudgingly shows or turns the back on all the gold that it is here. I mean, his end goal in life is basically to, as I explored in his character creation, is to enrich himself, to get enough money to retire with some dignity, with some luxury, maybe. Well, not luxury, but like just to retire, to not have any to not worry about anything in the future. So he's turning his back, but he's turning it, he's not liking it, and I would say that maybe this, and even the whole experience in itself, it drew on his well-being, not much in a physical sense, but more in a psychological sense. So the play seems to have presented him. So it seems that they were able to make their way through the dungeon here, or to the tomb here. But it seems almost like this play seems to try to fight back, and it tries to fight back by presenting them with things that they want. That's something, at least, that Jebran thinks, and he thinks it basically shows me all the riches in the world that I want, but I can't have them. And it's gnawing at him. It's encroaching into his spirit. It's always this lingering sense that he will have, probably even for days and weeks to come. So, oh wait, I could have all the gold. Yeah, there were bone walkers in there, but I could have just grabbed a bunch of it and just run away from it. But he thinks, okay, then maybe I can get out. Maybe I get lost in the thing. What about Catania? He feels somewhat of a. He thinks he somewhat has a that he needs to. He needs to take care of Catania. He have somehow has to oversee her. Well, not oversee her. It's maybe so to coach her in life, basically, to have some sort of how do you say that he has some sort of that he has to look after her a bit. Maybe the word comes to me. I just can't get it right now. So responsibility. Now it comes to me. Maybe has some responsibility again, or towards Catania as well. So he kind of leaves. So it gnaws at him. It gnaws at him, and the place is exerting its power maybe to him. So long story short, basically he loses a bit of his spirit here. He endures stress that he has here. There is something here that he can't have. There is, and he knows it, and he wants to ignore it. That the responsibility, he wants to ignore the responsibility. Just take all the gold that he can, leave, and just be finished with all of this talk about corruption or whatever. He can just forget it, ignore it, if he just has the money to just like make himself somewhere happy with all of it, with all the riches that he has, with all the power he may gain from it. So he's enduring some stress here. So let's see. I think he has plus spirit, I guess. Okay, but he gets a strong hit here at least. So that means question is, do I shake it off or embrace the darkness? I think I embrace the darkness here. So he uses this the stress that he endures here a bit as an incentive to move forward. He uses that energy or that grudge that comes from him, that that anger, I would say. He uses that to move forward, to say, okay, I can have this, but let's get on. So I won't look back. It just let's go. Let's move ahead. I need to do something. I need to maybe hit something, to kill something. He uses that anger and grief to his thing to push him forward, to go ahead and just to forget whatever he had is behind him. So he trots away from it, as he was throwing the gold satchel onto the floor, and begrudgingly turns around and angrily steps away from the heaps of gold. And Nesana is a bit taken aback, sees the anger that it exudes. Somewhat also is relieved that Jebran is no longer pursuing his greed, and is pushing forwards, and she's putting the sword back into the putting her sword back into the hilt, and is sword back into the hilt. This doesn't make sense. Into the scabbard, I would say, and sheath it again, and is then moving right behind Jebran as well, to basically go back to whatever they were doing. So they had a plan, or they had a focus here to explore, or to find Kaivan to get back her sword. But she can see that this place is how this place is working. She has a bit dissimilar feeling that this place is presenting them with things to distract them, to find whatever they were searching for. So yeah, it somehow tries to do that. So now I would say Jebran is pushing forward. Or maybe even he's not really. He's still in this bad mood here. He's more angrily like trotting through this place, stomping maybe a bit. But he's like grudgingly pushing forward with anger, with adrenaline in his blood from the bone walker that jumped them. It's like pushing forward, maybe not really paying much attention to whatever goes on here or around him. So he's just pushing through it. So he's more hastily trying to get to the end of it, basically to end this in a quicker fashion. So, okay, we saw it. I can't have what is here, so we shouldn't take more time than we need to. Otherwise, I might get tempted again to go back and get something. So let's push on forward to get this place as quickly behind us as possible. So he delves the depth here with haste, which means, unfortunately, I have to roll on edge, where he gets a weak hit. So this means I roll a D100. Okay. Interesting. So So he moves. He moves through here. So he moves. As I said, he angrily, with a bit of adrenaline in his blood. He moves forward. He moves through this place as quickly as possible, as quickly as he can. He tries to get behind him, the temptation behind him. He just goes step by step by step by step. Dun, 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 dun. Maybe even with a faster pace, not entirely running, but like it's a fast pace that he goes on. Nasana that sees him leaving. It's like moving past her. She's quick on her feet. She's nimble, but she's more using her dexterity more to keep in the shadows, to keep away from prying eyes. She's not really using that as advantage for speed for her. She's more using it to her advantage to use the shadows better. And Catania, she's just barely keeping up. So Jebran has a quick step on it. They make a lot of progress within here. They seem to be moving with that. They're moving way quicker through this place as they anticipated. They're making good pace here, which is why it lets them progress so much faster, so much deeper into here. And this but unfortunately, since they have to, Nasana is for the first time, she can't use, she isn't keeping in the shadows as much as she wants to, and because Jebran is just trotting ahead with this speed, and Catania also has to make sure that she keeps up, she doesn't get separated by the group, does not get separated by the group as much. She has to keep as well, and unfortunately for them, the dangers of this place, they're not aware of the dangers of this place as much as they would do. So it surprises them. So let's see here. What it might be. Denison haunts this area. Okay, makes sense. So they move along, rooms after room. It's somewhat similar to what they've seen above. That this is more. It's somewhat. It's like. It's half burial place. It's half prison. So what they basically see here is there are like these small rooms that they have. They're iron bars in front of them, or in front of what appears to be doors. Of course, the time is taking a toll. They rusted away. They broke away. So most of these iron bars are lying on the floor. They're just broken off, or you can quickly just push them away. They crumble just from all the rust over the years. And in these small rooms, there's like small covens. There's like the other three walls again have this indentations, or which looks like resting places where you can either lie down to sleep, like they're like cords in a sense, where they basically have put like 6 people into one room, board it, and this is then like the prison space, so they can can go to sleep at least in this spaces, but in the end it's okay, you're gonna lie down there and you're never gonna wake up again. You're dying in this prison. They buried them alive in the prison itself. Maybe at the beginning they still brought them food or whatever to maybe get some information out of them, but in the end it's just their final resting place. So it's half burial place or half and half prison here that they're moving past along these, and one by one they move through here with quick haste, and it's still sort of like a maze-like structure here. It still is constructed in a way to not let people out that quickly as well. So they move along through here from corridor to corridor, so they're not really aware of where they're going. And interestingly enough, again, I rolled what I rolled is there is a denizen in here, so they were not aware of where they're going here. But interestingly enough, what the game showed now me here is I rolled again a husk as denizen that is surprising them, and I would say yes, they make progress here through this dungeon, and what they find, with his angry pace that Jebran is going here, they come to a spot where they can see it's one of these small rooms here, with where the bars in front of the entrance have corroded away since a long time. They even have crumbled. It's not that they could find any iron bars on the floor. It's just like this reddish dust a bit on the floor. There's just like one or two of the bars protruding still from the floor and from the ceiling, but they have crumbled away, corroded away from the years. They're completely encased in this reddish brown thing, and it flakes off only if they just touch it a little bit. So it has completely rusted away, these bars. And they can see within this room, again, on each wall there's like two of these stone beds chiseled into the wall itself, into the stone wall itself, and so there's one on top of each other. So there's like a double bed, so to speak, that has been constructed here, two on each wall. And in the corner, one of the corners, there is a body cowered and lying in the edge, or in the corner of here, clutching in his hand a beautiful made silver sword. The body itself has, it has been now 100 years, I guess, since Kaivan ventured down into this thing and found this part of the prison himself, where he got ambushed by this husk. And so Jebran is within his pace, is quickly going through this, and at one point stumbles into this room, stumbles to Kaivan, to the resting place of Kaivan himself. And he can see that he's still clutching the silver sword, and everything else. He's still wearing most of his equipment, but again, it has been 100 years or so. So most of the leather has degraded as well over the years. It's maybe a bit more intact than what he saw before, because I mean, it hasn't been that long. So there's some degradation going on over 100 years, but it's still mostly intact. There's just some of the bits and pieces. There are like big gaps or big holes in it, but it's still there. Whatever he has left on, but just the silver sword is like is the only thing that seems to be defying any corruption, or seems to be defying any time, what time would do to things. It's still as it would be like from the day it was forged. It's still pristinely like clean, almost cleanish. And as Jebran is shining a torch into this room, it's sparkling back, it's shining back, it's still reflecting. Whatever, and that's what catches his eye when he was like going through all these rooms and shining his torch into it. The reflection back from the silver sword is what catches it, what catches him, and he shouts over to Nasana and Catania, and mostly to Nasana probably as well. He says, "Here, I found it," and goes over to Kaivan, or to what is left of Kaivan, and like grabs the silver sword and clutches it from his hand. And holds it aloft. He sees almost like as he's holding it, it's almost like it's a bit soothing to him almost. It's comforting him a bit. The feeling, this raging anger that he had in him, it seems to dissipate a bit. It seems to calm him down as he's holding the sword. It's almost like the sword itself tries to purify, tries to counteract the darkness that is protruding all around him. He's more clearly able to see things. He's even, whereas before the light from his torch was just shining out a bit, and it seems to be like hitting a fog wall almost, or like a wall of darkness itself. It seems to, where this place, this corruption tries to push back against the light itself, to engulf them with darkness. It seems to be, as he's holding the sword, that is like almost like helping the light to expand, helping his eye to adjust to the darkness, to see through the corruption that is in there. And so it seems to be like some sort of like helping him. Seems to be some sort of like the silver seems to purify the essence, purify the corruption. which is what Nasana maybe has told him, but definitely told Kaivan that whereas the Ironlanders are focusing or are relying on their iron that they have, and the iron is corrupting them, in the end is producing wars and greed and all those things, death. They, and with they I mean the Natlas, or maybe the people that lived here first, the firstborn, they use silver because they know silver is more of a purifying element, is more pure. It doesn't extrude this darkness, and it's even maybe imbued with some sort of magic, maybe light magic of some sort, which counteracts the dark magic in this place, which also has a precedence in, of course, in the real world. Silver is indeed, even in the past, if you go to the Middle Ages, it has been this purifying essence onto silver has been, or into silver has been discovered already in the past. That's why you have silverware, basically, because it's something that doesn't it's somewhat like antibacterial, etc. And you even see it in other fictional work, for example. So if you look at Witcher, for example, you have a silver sword which is against monsters, exactly for that reason, because it has this, or it is believed to have this purifying essence on it. And so this silver here is doing the silver sword is doing the same thing. So as Jebran is taking the sword from Kaivan's body, he's not really aware of Kaivan. Well, he knows, okay, Kaivan was probably the last one to have it, but he's not entirely directly sure that this is Kaivan, because he never saw him, and he never saw him in his clothes, so he wouldn't recognize him. So he goes back to Nasana and Catania that wait in front of the of this small room here, of this small prison cell here, and he holds the sword still in his hand and says to Nasana, well, I can understand why you want this back, apart from it being probably a formidable weapon. And he feels it. He feels that it is like the balance of the sword is exquisite, and it seems to be, and it has this calming effect to him, and he senses, well, this is probably, there's power beyond this sword that I can't comprehend, I can't see yet. So I understand this is something you want back, as well. And as he's like trying to give the sword back to Nasana, there is this like sudden like some sort like chill going in. So it's like a wind, a breeze that shouldn't be here. They're deep underground, but there's suddenly a brief chill, a brief breeze that goes past beyond them, beyond, or like, yeah, this is going in, and they can see the fog that is on the floor seems to be like almost being sucked or channeled, funneled towards the body of Kaivan, the corpse of Kaivan itself, and it seems to like almost like it, on every there's like still somewhat everything has shriveled. It didn't decay as much, so it's more, it has mummified the body. So all the flesh, etc., has shriveled onto the skeleton itself. It's not that it has been that it has rotten away and it's just the pure skeleton there, even though it has been 100 years. It's just more that it has shriveled into it. Somehow the sword has extruded its protective power even beyond death. It didn't allow it to decay. It just mummified the body, and it. But now and the armor it still hold onto it, the pieces of cloth, yes, they have shriveled apart, they have maybe torn apart. This has more decayed than anything else, but through every like crack and hole, small hole that there is there, like this fog is like almost like sucked into here, and with a sudden the body extrudes and awakens itself. It opens its eyes, or its eye sockets, and in there is just almost like two really black stones, or it looks like a black reflective stone in there, just pure black, looking against them, these black eyes, and as it slowly gets up, it lets out this horrifying wail, a wail similar they have heard within the mines, and a similar wail that maybe even the Sana has heard at the edge of the room. I think she was in the room, the save room, before she put the Kaivan into deeper into the cells here, where she could have just faintly hear that wail, and it's clinging to all of their ears. And Catania can feel, she has seen, and she's even, as they got closer to this cell, she was a bit more aware, and as I said, she was sensing just one spirit in this place, one singular spirit that still was lingering there. And maybe this, as I said, the sword has formed some sort of protective shield, protected Kaivan's body, corpse, from the corruption that lies in here, but now seems to have finally taken hold of him. All these years where the sword stand there as a last way of protection, or last stand of protection against the corruption, that has finally lifted, and finally the corruption was able to get in there to claim what is rightfully its prize that he's so long waited for those hundreds of years, and Catania can just see this, was able to see this one lonely spirit still shining within all of here. She couldn't sense any other spirit in here, and she could just see this shining light, which was probably Kaivan protected within this deep sea of darkness. And as Jebran was removing the sword, coming back to them, telling them, hey, I found your sword, and the darkness overcoming the body of Kaivan, she can see this bright light of the spirit of Kaivan going dimmer and dimmer, and seemingly be consumed from the outside by this darkness. So Kaivan rises with a horrifying wail as a husk to attack them and to bring the darkness to them. And this is where I end this session. Yeah, very nice. I brought it back to the beginning. I brought it back to somebody we already seen. It's quite nicely that it fit that well together. I rolled a husk, and so I was able to link this with the resting place of Kaivan very nicely. So that's really nice. Probably next time fight against Kaivan. I have to figure out how I want to do this. I could do this because I have the character sheet, so to speak, from Kaivan. I could try to do this to fight like with Kaivan with his character sheet. I have to figure that out. Until then, have fun listening to this episode, and we hear ourselves in the next one.